the privilege, the honor of sharing a new song with you that actually started here in this house. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tauren Wells. You need to know that for this to make sense. I sang on Echo many times. It echoed and echoed for years. And then they let me sing another song called Never Lost. If you don't like how I sing it, Zeke does a great job too. So does Tiffany. So y'all listen to that version. But this ministry has been very special to me for many, many years. I've followed Pastor Stephen and the whole journey of actually planting the church and all of that, just kind of seeing it all from a distance as a 20-something-year-old. And it was a dream to just be in the room. Not only have I been able to be in the room with all of you amazing people that make this church so special, but I've been able to get in the room with Chris Brown and Pastor Stephen and write some songs together. And that can be kind of an intimidating thing. I don't know if you realize this, but Elevation Worship is a pretty good little worship group. They've got some pretty good little songs. And they're written by some pretty amazing people. So we got into the room, and I'll never forget, I think we wrote about 5 songs the day that we wrote together 3 years ago in August. And I remember Pastor Stephen saying, hey, I'm ready to jump off at any exit for a better idea. So about 6 exits later, and about 6 hours later, this idea came about. And Chris was over on keys, and he was playing this progression. Pastor Stephen said, I think that's got a little something on it. Y'all have forgotten this because you've put out 4 albums since we wrote this song. But I lived with it. And then Pastor Stephen laid down on the floor, which I guess is how he writes songs, and just started singing. I'll never forget the first line he sang. Just tapping. Everything happens for a reason, but you don't know what you don't know. I said, Pastor, I think there's something on that. Keep going. It was the easiest songwriting day of my career. They wrote the whole song. But what's so beautiful is that although that originated 3 years ago, there was no way to know that we would be in the cultural moment that we're in now. Collectively, individually, we've all been in this tension. And there's this tension between singing a song like Never Lost when you feel like your life's a losing streak. There's a tension when you say that God is the resurrection and the life, but I will be attending a funeral on Tuesday of a 40-year-old father who's leaving a wife and 3 kids behind. Been at too many caskets, too many graveyards, and yet we hear about this God who's able to call Lazarus out of the tomb. So I've wrestled with, how do you manage the tension when the reality that you're experiencing does not look like what God has promised? And it's a moment that I've had to lean into the character of God. Because like the coffee cup cliches don't work when you're actually walking through something difficult. When it gets heavy to lift your hands and you feel like the words can't come out of your mouth, what do you lean on? You got to lean on God's character, who he actually is, who his word declares him to be. And the beautiful thing about the character of God is that it's multidimensional. There's an aspect of his character that is transcendent. That means he's higher, he's above, he's the beyond God. He was beyond sin. It couldn't touch him. He was beyond temptation. He couldn't be tempted. He was beyond brokenness. He was beyond doubt. He was beyond guilt. He's the beyond God. He stretched out the heavens and the earth all by himself. When he wanted to consult someone of the plan and pattern of the world, he spoke to himself. He's that great. But he's not just transcendent, he's imminent. That means he's close. And I know we love to sing about it at Christmas time, Emmanuel, God with us, but it's true all year. That God chose to step down from his throne, robe himself in flesh into the dusty streets of our reality, our brokenness, our pain, our dysfunction, because he wanted a special relationship with humanity. He didn't have to do it, but you were worth that much to him. So the reality that God is beyond and here awakens this notion within my heart that there is a reality beyond here. And that's where my ultimate hope rests. My hope does not rest in another promotion, in a better relationship, in another place of influence. All of that is flimsy. It can be here one day and it can be gone the next. But my ultimate hope is in this thing called the kingdom of heaven. It's unshakable. It's unchangeable. It's everlasting. It endures from generation to generation through all eternity. So my hope is this, that one day I will step out of time and into eternity. That all my problems have an expiration date. That death has lost its sting and the grave has lost its victory. Because one day I will step into the presence of God and all I will experience is the goodness, the peace, the grace, and the joy that flows from the goodness of God. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning.